What's going on, family? We are back checking out another song from Sofia Isella, and I want to appreciate you guys for pushing me in the direction to continue to check out more of her music. I really appreciate the fact that she is an artist that pushes the boundaries and talks about a lot of subject matters that a lot of artists tend to stay away from. So I really am drawn to those kind of artists that like to push the envelope and talk about a lot of those subject matters that most will stay away from. But I think it's very important to have these discussions and have this kind of music out there in the world so that way it does generate these kinds of discussions and these overall talking points. I Can Be Your Mother was the next song that you guys wanted me to listen to from Sofia, so let's go ahead and check it out. Oh boy, she just knows how to set a mood.
The pulse of sleep is sucking at my eyes. I'm nursing it like a baby while it sucks me dry. And I'm staying up, talking to a phone like God. And like a mother, there is never respite. I'm sinking my hands into the piano like mud. I'm hoping and praying that I get stuck. I'm staying up, talking to a phone like God. I'm resisting the trip while I'm falling in love. Cause you choose which one you want to rule you the best. A man or the never-ending desire of success. I know which one is in my bed tonight. Dinner's on the table with a pen and a knife. The meal tastes like paper and ink and paint. The words are different but the song's always the same. And while I sit and while I write and chew, I try not to make this song about you. I can be your...
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Like, I think I've said this like every video that I've done from her, that I think she has like just a way of just kind of making like you just kind of feel uncomfortable like listening to her music like overall. And I think that's one of the things that I feel is great about her as an artist, is the fact that she talks about these subjects and she puts you in the state of overall state of mind to think about some of the things that are hard to think about, especially from a woman's perspective, right? Like there's a lot of things that every song I've heard from her is more or less coming from the woman's perspective and really kind of just very poetic, kind of giving you almost like poetry in the day in the life of a woman. I feel like with her overall, with her music. Her lyrics have always been a thing that have really drawn me into her music in general, is because she just really gives you like provoking thought with the stories that she tells and the way that she tells them. She made a reference in there about like choosing which one is going to control and drive you the best, either like a man or her overall success with her art. In a lot of different situations and times, people can get really caught up, especially sometimes women can get caught up with like attaching themselves to like a man, and whatever the man has going on is what's driving their entire world. It's not really like an equal partnership that way, because you're more or less giving into like their desires of like what they're trying to focus on, and you're more or less playing a role of being supportive of that. Or the never-ending desire of success, which fuels a lot of people as well, is, you know, when you're very self-centered and you don't put other people like and take that into consideration of your world, you get very focused on your overall idea and whatnot, right? We as men have the hardest time dealing with this, right? Is because we're all human. So we are all naturally pushed in a direction to be self-centered. It's just our human nature to think about yourself first. I think that overall women have, I think, just different chemistry that makes them a little more empathetic, I think, than the average man. I think that has a lot to do with science, and I think it has a lot to do with society in general as well. Made references about like knowing which one was in her bed tonight. She talks about like being at the dinner table, like eating her words or writing the words, like why she's like eating and all that kinds of stuff. And she's trying her best to not make this song about you. Like she's tied between the man who she's writing about and like her overall success, but it's still coming back to the same thing where I'm trying to do something that has nothing to do with you, and I'm trying my damnedest to not even write it about you, but that's where the inspiration comes from.
I can be your mother, I can be a dream, I can make it look like it never happened, leave it clean. Oh, I could be your friend or I I could be on my back, I could beg or I could bully, I could brace you for impact. Oh, I could be counterfeit, I could be real, I could be the wound in your neck you tell your friends you can heal. I could be 500 virgins, I could be 500 whores, I could be anything, anything, anything but yours.
Oh my God. Oof. She just moves you, man. She really does.
You read to me quietly on the windowsill. Our bodies will never be close enough if they tried, which they will. You either keep a close eye or a closed eye on it. I watch myself while I ride the emotional dick, cause you choose which one you wanna fuck you in place. A man at the egg and your legs backstage. I know which one gets me on my knees, gripping my hair like I'm made of sheets. The voice in my ear says remember the bet. I'm nodding at nothing, I'm holding my breath. Remember, remember, remember the bet. His love feels like a threat. I can be your mother, I can be mad, I could talk utter bullshit.
Oh my God. Like she just makes, I said, man, I've said it a few times now. She just makes it very difficult to be like a man in the room. Just the way that she talks about things, like just makes you like think about all those guys and all those friends that I've had and stories of just like things that they have just said and things like throughout my life. You know, as you get older, you hear less stories like that from your friends and your guys, right? You grow up and you don't have those kinds of conversations anymore. I've always been the kind of guy that I have never been the kiss and tell kind of person. If you ask any of my friends about any of that kind of stuff about my life, I have never been that guy. I have never been the one to talk about what has happened like between me and anybody that I've been involved with. It's just not who the kind of person that I am. But unfortunately, there is a lot of people out there that do. And the overall just kind of perspective of sometimes the way that just men treat women and the way that she just kind of paints this picture, she just like the problems overall in society with like just like, you know, if you want to talk about like the porn industry and how that has affected so many like young men who don't have like the life experience, right? And all they have is what they see through the visualization of that industry, right? That's not real. That's not how people really do this. There's people out there that will try to emulate it and all that. And there's people that will do some of the things that you see in those videos, but that is not to every person. And not every person wants to be treated that way. Like when she made references about like ripping my hair and pulling my hair and I could be 500 virgins, I could be 500 whores. Like, oh my God, just like this, the overall stereotyping that guys would do or guys can and will do to just women and how they just treat them like they're just sex dolls, like they're just sex dolls with pulses. Like she's talked about this stuff in like almost every song I've heard about. Like, you know, we're just art that you can fuck. You know, she's made these references over and over and over again. And she just continues to draw the same kind of emotion and the same kind of like just lyrical storytelling with what she expresses in her art. It comes out like in each piece, no matter if it's like on the same subject matter, if we're talking about the same kind of thing, whether it's a little bit different or whatever kind of picture we're painting in each representation, she does it extremely strong and every representation is moving. Like it's auditorily moving. It makes you think and makes you feel. The visuals only just kind of add to the overall effect of that. Like in this music video, like with her in the bed and the people coming in, like trying to tie her down like she's crazy. Just like the way that she's acting overall in the video, just I feel like adds volumes to the overall message of the song.
I can be your mother, I can be mad, I could talk utter bullshit, or I could be matter of fact. Oh, I could be broken, or I could be whole, I could be something to fix in your New Year's resolution goal. Oh, I could be an angel, I could be a jerk, make a plan to save me, you can choose if you want it to work. I could be a purity to ruin, corrupt for you to restore. I could be anything, anything, anything but you.
Oh wow, directed by Sofia Isella. That's really cool. Like that she directed her own video that way. That's super sick. I like that a lot actually. I I'm a big fan of artists that are very involved with their own work. Like I said, I will never listen. I try. I won't say I'll never listen, but I could never fully and truly love an artist that does not write their own music or it has a very, very, very heavy hand in the overall creation and the lyrical content of it. I don't expect every artist to be able to play every instrument that they do. Um, I just feel like when it comes to if you're going to be a singer and you're an artist, that I feel like it should be your lyrics that you're sharing with us, not somebody else that writes them for you to be able to just recite. There's a ton of great singers that they're that's absolutely what they're there for to do. They are basically vocal instruments that somebody else gives them great songs and they just don't have the ability to write and tell their own stories. But I can never really feel in love that artist the same way that I would with somebody who writes their own stuff. The fact that she actually directs her own music video, it's like especially at least for this one, is very, very cool. For my overall interpretation of this video, which I'm probably wrong of like what the overall intention was, but at the same time, I don't think that's not the purpose of art. The purpose of art is to be able to have different representations and ideas of things that you felt and were inspired from what you saw from this. And for what I took away from this video was like the idea of kind of like childbirth, like I could be your mother, right? I think the overall song is like playing out all these different things that are like the stereotypes that guys would treat women in their life, right? Like, a lot of times they're looking for a mother figure or someone to take care of them, or they're looking for the whore. They're looking for the supporting wife, whatever. That she kind of makes all these different references throughout the entire song of all these different versions of different things that she could be. I could be your mother. I could be your best friend. I could be your dad. I could be all these different things that she mentions. But I think about the overall song in the video and like I can be your mother and like what you saw like kind of like with like the baby bump like kind of on her back kind of like slowly growing. What I took away from that was like the burden of childbirth and all of that and like just the overall like women in general and the fact that they're the only species that are able to do this because we as men we're not able to produce children like this. Like it's a burden that we have to like carry on our backs. Like where even if you don't want to have children, it's still kind of a burden and like a problem that a lot of women will face just because you never had kids. People will like judge you for not having children. People will judge you if you have too many children. That's the thing. It's like, it's kind of like what her overall music represents, right? Is like, what is the correct way? What's supposed to be right? What is supposed to be the overall thing and idea that a woman is? We don't have the same societal pressures and things like that on guys the way that we do with women. Like I said, why is it a thing for a woman to be, middle-aged or something and chose to never have children, and then people look at them sideways for that? And like they're like, why? Well, why not? Like it's a problem. It makes me think about the whole idea about like when you tell people that you don't drink. Like if you like, there's a comedian that talks about like if you tell somebody that you don't drink, everybody acts like that's like it just blows their mind. Why not? Do you have a problem with drinking? Why wouldn't you have a drink? Why not? It's the same thing with like kids. Why wouldn't you have kids? Is it because you can't have kids? Do you hate kids? It's none of those things. Sometimes people just choose and make their own decisions. It's not anybody's business whether or not they had kids or not. You know what I mean? Like if anything, like the world's already overpopulated and yet we're trying to make it so people have to have more kids and we don't have places to put them. We don't have homes to give them. Like we're trying to produce more children into the world when we don't have more houses for them. Where are these kids going to go? We're going to put them in apartment complexes? We're just going to make them live in skyscrapers up and up and up and up for the rest of their lives? Is that what we want to do and pass on to some kids? That's why some people choose to not even have children. It's because they don't even feel like it's a place to bring more people into the world. And like I said, that's every individual's prerogative. I've said it a few times now that Sofia basically listed off every single thing that she could possibly be, but she definitely could not. The one thing that she could not be was that person she was writing about. That was the one thing that she knew for sure. And I feel like that's important in this overall message of like having that self-worth and an understanding that even when you are hurt and even if you might still love this person and you still had love for that person, but recognizing that all those things in that person, which obviously has done a number on her, just to kind of give her this overall perspective at such a young age at the same time, because like, you know, this is like the things that she's talking about, I feel like are like way beyond a lot of like what younger women have really just even encountered and faced really in their lives, just because they haven't been in the world as long as women who have been around for many more years than she has. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from her overall message and the fact that she's so right though. And that's the thing, is like, you know, you wouldn't, I don't think a lot of times you would see like older artists write kind of stuff like this, because I think that's kind of the beauty of the art of music, is a lot of times we're getting to listen to the perspective of someone who's a little bit more younger in age than we are, especially like when we're older, right? We're listening to more artists and their perspectives on things from more of a young and more vulnerable and more willing place to be open and sharing. Where the older we get, the more closed we get, and unfortunately, I think for a lot of us, where you're not willing to put yourself out there as much because you're the fear of the repercussion of what you're saying. And again, that's why I like Sofia so much, is because I feel like she is an artist who pushes those boundaries and talks about those subjects that a lot of people just shy away from completely. It's not like it's not been a continual problem since the history of society. It's not like it's not been a problem today as it is going to be a problem tomorrow. With all the things that she's naming. There are a lot of guys out there that are trying to make a difference, and they are trying to change and not be those stereotypes. I definitely want to make sure that I don't just make any guys out there listening feel like you failed and you can't do anything and you can't do anything right. It's also like one of those things where today I think a lot of people feel like, you know, as being a man, when a lot of this stuff is being talked about today, that like, you know, we're just automatically wrong and we shouldn't say anything at all. And at the same time, I can completely understand that point. We've had the microphone for our entire lives. I think it's just time that we as a group just also listened and let them talk first. You know what I mean? Don't tell them that they're wrong when they tell you how they feel about something. And I think that's really all anybody really wants, is just to don't tell me how to feel about my experiences. You know what I mean? They're not the same as yours, and you can't tell me I'm wrong about my experiences. And like I said, Sofia obviously has seen or been through something very tough in her life, and I feel for her as an artist, because you don't just come up with this stuff because, you know, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't come out of nowhere. You don't feel the need to share this kind of art and write about these things and express yourself this way unless there is a need. And I'm glad that she is so brave to share this stuff with us. I think it's very important to talk about. And like I said, I know a lot of guys might shy away from overall talking about these topics and whatnot, but I think it's important, especially as guys, to try to support women who do stuff like this. We have not done a very good job of really just supporting women in general when they have their chance to stand up and for us to be the support system. And I think that some people just try to need, like I said, I've had a few people on my channel say, hey, Johnny, like, you know, I'm not one of those guys. And I think it's just important for us to try to continue to be that. And I see you and I recognize you as well, that, you know, there are some of us out there as men in this world that do very much recognize the way things have been and way things have been lopsided in terms of equality in general. And that's one thing I've always stood for in terms of everything I've done, in terms of everything I want to do on my channel, is really just try to support the idea of equality for everybody, and just take things for what they are, and to not treat them differently just because I might not be as familiar with something. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I know I probably got a little rambly on this one compared to some of my last reactions from this artist, but she really does provoke a lot of thought and just overall talking points I think that are important to talk about. And I really do enjoy her music that much more. This video just makes me think about how much I really want to like to see her live in performance, because I feel like that's something to see. And so I'm just very excited to get more familiar with her music. Please be sure to let me know what the next song I need to check out from her is. And if you have not joined the Foxtrot family, there's always room for you. Until next time, I appreciate you for watching.